Hi everyone, thanks for joining me for Coffee and Card at Home. So we are continuing to use the Hello Ladybird stamp set and the Ladybird Bug Builder Punch that goes with it. And this is week 3 using the set for our Coffee and Card sessions. So this morning we made these cards on Zoom. So I'm going to show you how to do those now. So I'm just going to pop those to the side. You notice there's slight variations with kind of the layout. Obviously you can choose how you want to do that really. So we're going to need an old olive card base, which is a piece of A4 old olive cardstock cut in half, 14.8, and then scored at 10.5 centimetres. I'm just going to get that folded and burnished to start with. And then the next part is we're going to get the ladybirds and the flowers done. So on this card, if I just bring them back, you'll see here I've gone for 3 flowers and 2 ladybirds. And on this one, I went for 3 flowers and a leaf and a ladybird. So that was an additional thing that I put on afterwards because I just felt like it needed something. But I think I prefer this layout, so we'll go with the 2 ladybirds. So first of all, we're going to take a piece of basic white cardstock and we're going to stamp our flowers. So for this, I am using Daffodil Delight for the flowers. And like I say, I'm just going to stamp 3 of those. Obviously 3s always work well. It's kind of a bit of a rule that odd numbers work well. And then just for the centres, there's a little kind of almost star shape and then 3 little dots. I'm going to use those for the centres of the flower. So I have used pumpkin pie for the star shapes. You don't have to worry about being too exact with this. It's quite tricky to line them up, to be honest. And then for the little dots still on the top, I'm using cinnamon cider. Okay, so I'm not worrying too much about being perfectly exact with my placement of those. Keep it sort of natural looking. Then we are going to stamp our ladybirds. So I am going to start with Memento black and I'm going to stamp my bodies of my ladybirds. So because I'm going to put 2 on there, do 2 black bodies. And then I'm going to stamp the wings in real red. I'm just going to keep my black for a moment to do my spots. So 2 sets of wings. Make sure they're well inked. And then we're just going to use the spot stamp to just fill in the spots. This is a little bit tricky to line them up, but do your best. If you end up with any little white bits, you can always get a marker pen just to go around them. It's really tricky to line up both sides. Actually, I quite often get one side fine and the other side's just slightly off. So, and whilst we're still stamping, we're also going to stamp our sentiment. And there are some lovely ones with the set, but I'm a little bit short of birthday cards at the moment, so I'm going to stamp a happy birthday on there. And I'm just using real red and line up my card to help me line up my sentiment, and then I'll trim that down. So that was just a scrap of white, basic white. Now we may well come back to the card base with some stamping, but for now we'll do the cutting out. So what we're going to do first of all is we're just going to chop up each of these so that they are ready to be cut up. Because I've got the Ladybug builder punch, I can cut the wings and the bodies out with the punch. But for my flowers, I have to do those by hand. So we have discovered that I think it's the medium daisy punch fits the flower. It does cut the edge off slightly, but it will work. So if you have got that one, then that's something that you could use. So first of all, let's get our ladybird bodies cut out. So just need to trim that off a little. Now, if you haven't got enough to hang on to and it's a bit fiddly, you can always get yourself a post-it note to help you hold it in there whilst you are cutting it out. There's one. So I think I might need to just trim that little bit off as well. And just put my rubbish in the bin. And then same for the wings. Just use a post-it note again just to help me hold on to that. And this one I might, no, still not quite got enough to hold on to, so I'll use the post-it note again. It is a really useful little thing to do if your bit of card is just a little bit too small. So that's all of those punched out, and the next part is to cut out the flowers. So I'm just leaving a very narrow white border around the outside like you would find with the punches, which is how they've just punched out the ladybird. You could cut right up to the edge if you prefer, but the key to remember with this is to keep rotating the card and keep your scissors sort of still as you turn, and then hopefully you won't get any rough edges appearing. So it does take a bit of time, a bit of patience. That's why, like I say, if you've got the medium daisy punch, then that will do some of the hard work for you, which is great. We discovered this morning that it will fit, but like I say, it takes off a bit of the edge of the flower. So if you don't mind your flowers looking a little thinner, then it's a good quick tip, especially if you're not a fan of fussy cutting, because I know not everybody likes doing this. I don't mind too much when they're not too tricky a shape. This obviously just requires a little bit of time and patience to do this. You might have noticed on my other card that I had a leaf on there. You could do a leaf as well if you wanted to. So with that as well, you would need to stamp it and then cut it out by hand. That one I stamped in Granny Apple Green and then cut it out by hand. But the leaf was a bit of an afterthought on one of my cards, because it was my initial design, which just had 3 flowers and a ladybird. But then I actually decided whilst I was working with the lady this morning that I actually didn't like the space that was left there. And so I put another ladybird on the card I was working on at the time. And then on the other one of the ladies suggested that I perhaps try a leaf. So that's where that idea came from. But like I say, it was a last minute addition, just because I felt like it needed something else. It wasn't quite finished off. And that sometimes happens with cards, that you'll keep looking at them and thinking, oh, it needs something else. And you just can't work out what, but eventually something comes to you. You do it and everything's good. So that's kind of how it happened this morning. So I've got all my bits cut out. They're all ready to stick on in a moment. I'm just finally going to grab my paper trimmer and I'm just going to trim down my bit of card. So I'm going to try and give it an equal distance if I can from the bottom, and then again just chop a little bit off. Now on one of my cards I did actually make my sentiment a little bigger. I'll just bring it in to show you, and I used the one from the set that said "You can bug me anytime," and then there's a separate "My friend," so I put that underneath, but I felt it needed something, so again I did a few of those little blobs at the side, but you don't have to do that obviously. So I'm going to bring back my card base and we're going to start assembling now. And the nice thing about this is you can do it in whatever way you want to, really. You could have your flowers on this side and sentiment over here. You could have it portrait, so it's a little different. It's entirely up to you. So the one I did was landscape, so I might have a go at doing a portrait one actually. And with the flowers I decided to keep those flat, so I've just stuck those on with Tombow. So if we're going for a portrait one, I think I might go with my sentiment down the bottom here, so I'm going to cluster my flowers a bit higher up. I'm just overlapping them slightly as well. And then my ladybirds and my sentiment are stuck on with dimensionals, so I might stick my sentiment on first. So I'm going to pop 3 of those on just to raise that up. And then the bodies of my ladybirds are also raised up with dimensionals. So again, I'm just going to pop 3 onto each body, 1 on the head and 2 lower down on the body. And then I think I'm going to have 1 coming in on this side and another 1 coming in there. And then with the wings, I've just stuck those on with Tombow so that I don't make it too thick, and obviously then that just takes into account posting. And then the other wings on here. And then the only thing left to do, if you want to, you might want to leave it blank like that, is I just used that little stamp that I used for the centre of my flowers, the three little dots. And I've used tone on tone, so this card is Old Olive. I've used Old Olive just to put some detailing on some of the edges of the card. And all I've done really is just put it in my ink and then just stamped with it till the ink has run out, and then picked up a bit more. I might just go for a few over here. But this part obviously is completely optional. You don't need to do that if you don't want to. You might prefer to keep your card base blank. And that's it, that's finished. The only other thing you could do if you wanted to is just put a little touch of Wink of Stella on. I might just put some on my centres of my flowers. Like I say, that's completely optional. There we have it. So I'll just bring those back so you can see those are the same with the 2 ladybirds and the flowers, or if you wanted a slight variation, then you can see we've got this one here with the leaf on. So just a quick recap of what we've used. We have used the Hello Ladybug stamp set with the Ladybug punch. And then colours that we've used Old Olive for the background. If you want to use a leaf, we've used Granny Apple Green. We have used Real Red and Memento Black for our ladybirds. And for the flowers, we have used Daffodil Delight, Pumpkin Pie and Cinnamon Cider. And that's all there is to it really. So if you have anything that you'd like to get hold of so you can recreate the card yourself, please let me know and I can add you to an order, or you can go straight to stampinup.uk and order directly for yourself and quote Claire Humphries as your demonstrator. That would be really appreciated. And next week will be our final week using the Ladybug punch, and we'll actually be doing something a little different, not ladybugs, ladybirds even, whichever you prefer, but a different insect altogether. So I saw a fabulous American demo showing us how to do some alternatives, so we're going to be trying that out. Anyway, have a good week and I will see you next week. Take care. Bye.